Good morning, good morning, good morning, B. How's it going on this beautiful Tuesday morning?
It
It's
is going
me.
great. How you doing today?
I'm good. Into the life of the living.
I guess you needed that one, huh?
I did. I did. I
I'm glad
needed
you got it.
the kind of day that I had yesterday. I needed it. I did still do some work, but I did not leave the house, and I can't tell you. I tried to remember the last time that I did not leave the house.
Mm,
I didn't take my pajamas off until it was time to shower and go to bed. So,
well, good. I'm glad
yes.
you got that good rest. But welcome everybody to the End of Season podcast. This is our 96th consecutive day of the End of Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly, the powerful, dynamic, revolutionary, transformative Butterfly. And then little old me over here, her son, here to help out and here to offer anything, any insights that I can from these passages. Speaking of passages, if you haven't gotten the book and you don't know what we're doing, first off, welcome. If you've been here and you don't have the book, get on your job. You got to go get this book, Daily Motivations for African American Success by Dennis Kimbro. It's the showcase and feature book of this first installment of the End of the Season podcast of this entire unit. What we're using is Dennis Kimbro's book. And what this is it's a book that's been helping us focus on our thoughts, focus on our attitudes, focus on our deeds, and all the ones that lead to the achievement of our true goals. Right. So it's 365 short but powerful motivations, one for each day of the year. Dennis Kimbro, the author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated guests as celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Alderman, uh, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. So this treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches will last you a lifetime. So just wanted to get that through to make sure everybody knows exactly where we're coming from and the book that they need to get. If you got the book, for the people that are coming into the chat, if you got the book, let us know. Say, I got the book. Even if you've already told us, we just want to let and show other people who all have the book. And I need to get the book. And let us know in the comments. But who we got over there on your side, Mo?
We have, let's see, Miss Brenda Davis. Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. And we got Brother and Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike, man. I
So,
appreciate you, Uncle
Brenda
Mike.
says, I
Every
have the
morning.
book. Hmm.
I
What
appreciate
is
you, Uncle Mike, getting up every morning. Do you have the book? Let us know. Let us know.
No, I know. I'm sitting here like waiting on him to say yes so I can hear it. How crazy is that?
What?
I was waiting on him to say yes or no,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
to hear it.
yeah. Let
But
us know.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Y'all get that book. Get this book. Get this book. Get this book. So I'm gonna be ordering some. Maybe even tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. I need to do it today, but I'm gonna order a few myself. So, Mike, if you have not received it, I'll get you one.
oh wow,
Um,
okay, cool,
so
cool.
yeah,
You order a couple of them.
yeah. I have someone that wants one. And not really able to get it right now. So I and they're not here. They're not locally. So I'm just going to have one sent directly to that person, and then the others I'm going to have come here um, for a later time.
I
Yep.
wish we
So
could get Dennis Kimbro on here. I wonder what he's up to and what his life is like, um, and how he's doing. You know, I'm from what I saw, he's alive. Um,
yeah,
and I'm not sure if he's still writing or anything like that. But I did send an email to his team to say that hopefully we can get in touch and that we wanted to do something with him. So hopefully that works out one way or another. So as we come up on the
right,
100th day,
right.
I'm
If not,
kind of trying to reach out
he's
to him.
coming our way. He's
That's
coming
it.
our way, right?
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
he's going to see something is happening in Memphis because I'm getting a lot of or Tennessee. I'm getting we're waking up, because maybe not everybody, but we've had some people that have purchased this book, and I know that I know many of you will, at some
Right.
point. We're going to be here, God willing. We're going to be here to push this through. So at some point, your soul, your spirit's going to say, "Get us the book," right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to pass it up.
So I'm looking for him. It looks like he was in Memphis 7 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. He's did some interviews, some great interviews, you guys. If you've not went out there, and that's what I mean. You got to do the work. I started watching videos, the interviews that he had did with others on YouTube and things like that. So it gets deeper.
Mm.
So do some
Mhm.
research.
The Wealth Choice. I'm looking at all his books and things like that. So that's really cool. I hope and I'm confident that we're gonna be able to pick his brain a little bit about this book and about others that he's written, and just about success in general, African American success, and what that looks like. Because even though Dennis Kimbro might not be a a name, a household name that everyone just knows automatically, I do consider him very, very successful. Um, so it would be great again to pick the brain of a best-selling author. But you want to jump right into it, or you want to do
Hey,
anything before we
hey,
do?
brother, and Uncle Mike says, "I got the book." Ha ha! How about them out?
Hey, go ahead. I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you not for. There's nothing that I gain from it. I just appreciate. Well, there's something I gain from it because the I gain kind of the warm spot in me that knows that my uncle is pursuing success, and that's it does something for me to hear that he wakes up every morning. He's one of the first people that sign on. He's always in the comments, and that's the closest male relative that I have to me. He doesn't live too far from here, so it's always comforting. And it's like iron sharpening iron to know that he's sharpening himself. I'm sharpening myself. So shout out to Uncle Mike, man. You've always been a great influence in my life, so I appreciate it. But Mom, I am ready to jump in there if you are.
Yes, I'm ready.
You good? You got your coffee?
I'm ready.
You got your spoon?
Got my coffee. Got my spoon.
All right.
Got my little breakfast cookies. See my little breakfast cookies.
Oh, which ones are
Coffee
those?
cookies.
Coffee cookies.
What are they called? I don't know. I get them from Sam's. They come in a big like plastic container. They're really
Okay.
good. I have to show I don't know the name of Biscoffs maybe or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, like the ones they give you on the Delta flights.
No, not those. I have to tell you, I don't know what I'm eating, y'all.
Okay,
They're
y'all,
just
y'all, I'll stop everything for some cookies. I don't know if
they're good. I'll
ready.
bring you some. I'll bring you some today.
Okay, okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
sweetie. Well, cool, cool. Well, on today's May 6th, let me turn to May 6th and see what the title is for today. Yesterday's was Rise and Shine, and today the title is Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. And our quote today comes from Samuel L. Gravely, the first African American admiral in the U.S. Navy. He said, "A good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less than his share of the credit." I like that. A good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame, a little less than his share of the credit.
Mm.
Speaking of best-selling authors, the first words are best-selling author Miles Monroe writes, "The world is filled with followers, supervisors, and managers, but very few leaders. Leaders are ordinary people who accept or are placed under extraordinary circumstances that bring forth their latent potential, producing qualities that inspire the confidence and trust of others." The following tale is a good example of effective leadership. One day, A proud lion was determined to make all the animals in the jungle realize that he was the king. He was so confident that he bypassed the smaller animals and headed straight to the bear. "Who is the king of the jungle?" the lion growled. "Why, you are," the bear replied. Next, he approached the tiger. "Who is the king of the jungle?" The tiger confessed. "Everyone knows that you are." The lion addressed the elephant. "Who's the king of the jungle?" The elephant immediately grabbed the lion, shook him, whirled him around, and slammed him into a tree. The lion, beaten, bruised, and battered, struggled to his feet. He looked at the elephant through blackened eyes and said, "Look, just because you don't know the answer, there's no reason to be sore about it." The lion was anything but a leader. "A boss may create fear," explains Jewel Jackson McCabe, founder of 100 Black Women, "but a leader creates confidence." Again, a boss may create fear, but a leader creates confidence. Leaders have confidence in themselves and create confidence in others. Like leaders before you, you too can develop these qualities. And the affirmation that we read 3 times, one for me, one for you, and one for the person that you're going to send this to, is: today I will develop the confidence and enthusiasm that breed leadership. Today I will develop the confidence and enthusiasm that breed leadership. And last time, today I will develop the confidence and enthusiasm that breed leadership. All right, what you think about that one, Mom?
I like it. I didn't get to read this one yesterday, but I really, really, really like it. And it is, again, applicable to my life. I want to be a little personal without giving out too much information. Um, so I recently took on a management role, and I took each team member out on my dime. I took them out and we had a conversation, right? I had an honest, as best I could, open conversation. And it was important to me that they knew. And these are the things, these are the words that I said to them. I plan to be the manager that I've always wanted in my life. One that in this sense, and I didn't use this word, but that did not create fear, you guys, because we spend a lot of time at work. And so we should love what we're doing, and we should at least have confidence and faith in the people who are leading us. But this world has become so brutal, and I feel like a lot of people who are in leadership should just get out of the way. Should just get out of the way, because not only are you affecting the people there on their job, but they're taking it home. They're taking it home. So I'm speaking to the person who is in a position to lead and manage people, but you're coming to work broken and you're taking it out. You're like the lion goes up to everybody with this, attitude, you know, maybe not in the way that he's asking, but in your actions, you show that you are definitely not leading for them or leading them to be in a place that they're able to lead. You're leading with a sense of fear. And which is why you respond and like the lion, who's the boss here? You throw your weight out on people. So in that, and I also said this, I am not managing you. I'm managing a process for a company that's been in business over 100 years. So they must be doing something right. I may not like all the processes, or I may think that I could do it a different way, but it's not that company's name by Tammy, right? It's by the person who owns it. Is that person's last names that is there. So I'm here to grow with you, to learn with you. Because what happens when someone, most times when someone takes, think about it, you guys, and even how we feel. And so I had to remember how I felt when someone is hired from the outside and they don't know the processes inside. So already there is something set sometimes with people that you're coming in to work with and for and to manage for sure. Because there are things that you may have to ask them because they've been there. They know some of the things that you're coming in that you have to manage, right? So I am at that place where I can lead, but I can also follow. And when I can't do those things, I need to get out of the way. Why? Because I don't want to be the cause of anyone else's um, troubles. I'd rather just go figure it out. Like literally, I will go sell hot dogs. I will go to Popeyes and work. I am not over any job. I am not above any job. And it's one thing I know I can do. Hello, how are you? May I please take your order? With a smile, right? So if I can't lead in places where it takes a little bit more than that, then I could always go. I could go be a greeter at Walmart. And you be coming into that same, you pass some Walmarts to get to me because I'm gonna know your name. I'm gonna ask about your children, your grandchildren. And that's leading. But you can't always just lead. You have to be willing to follow. So this one's very personal for me. I'm also preparing for our very first team meeting this week. And I've been looking for some things to uplift us all, right? To just inspire us all. And guess what, you guys? I pray for us. I pray, I call each one of them by name, and I also pray for us as a team. So I know whatever goes on, whatever happens in within our team, that God is growing us. He's growing us. So I just take it. I just take it on. Okay, what's happening here? Let's go. So this one's very, very, very personal. And it is true. The quote is true. We take a little more than our share of the blame and a little less of the credit. But when you're leading, it's not an individual thing. We're a team. And I'm not leading, I'm not managing grown people. And that's probably one of the things that I wanted them to get most out of. I'm managing a process. I'm managing a process, not grown people. Because once the people know the process, it's up to you to do the job. It's up to you to do the job. So if I come to you, it's because you're not doing it. But I've made sure that you do know the process. So over to you, Brandon.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mom. I I like this one a lot because I think there's a big difference between a person in a position of leadership and a person that is a leader. And I think, so I'll go to this quote inside of the passage. It says, "The world is filled with followers, supervisors, and managers, but very few leaders." Right? Oftentimes, leaders are confident, but they don't choose to be in the positions of leadership. So, for example, I know with the bus boycott that kind of spurred up the civil rights movement. Dr. King was he wasn't even one of the main preachers, right, in that area. But it's the way that he spoke. It's the way that he could disseminate information and relay it to other people. It was his qualities. It was his humble nature, but his passion of organizing that really, I think, catapulted him into the position to be the chosen leader of that movement, right? And look what it turned into, right? A small candle can burn a bridge, right? A very small candle can burn a bridge, in the words of Kendrick Lamar. But one of the things that I read about from him in his book was that he actually asked not to be the leader. He did not think that he was the best person,
Mm.
which was really interesting. he did not prefer himself in that situation. And if you guys know anything about Dr. King, I also read that upon his death, he had, I think he was 39 years old. He had the heart of like a 60-something-year-old man. So there's a weight that comes on the shoulders of the people who are leaders, who are placed in these positions. And in Dr. King's case, he was placed there because of his character. He was placed there because even though he dissuaded others that of being a leader, they said, no, you are our leader. He was designated as that by the majority of the people there. And it is upon that he said, okay, I'll do it. If I'm being called, then I will serve. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the metaphor that was here with the king of the jungle, or the lion. And so the lion is going in this story is going up to every single animal that it can, the biggest animals, not even the smaller ones, right? Like, it doesn't want the small successes. It wants to go push its weight around on the other powerful animals. And the ones that were similar in size to him, who in most cases, because I think a tiger and a bear
There.
would have, a pretty good chance at fighting and hurting and maiming even this lion, who runs up to them in the jungle, says, "Who's the king of the jungle?" And the tiger said, "Yes, you're the king of the jungle. Everyone knows you are." And he runs up to the bear and said, "Who's the king of the jungle?" And the bear said, "Why, you are." But when he went up to that elephant, the elephant ain't say nothing to him. The elephant just grabbed him, threw him around, threw him into a tree, beat him up a bit. And even after he was bruised and beaten down, the lion still couldn't see the stupidity in what he just did, right? This animal weighs tons and tons more than him. But he ran up to him and said, "Who's the king of the jungle?" And he got beaten, bruised, and battered. And after which the lion said, "Look, just because you don't know the answer, there's no reason to be sore about it," right? So he still made it the elephant's issue, right?
Right.
Oh, it's
Right.
not me. You even though, you know, you beat me up and this, and I came up to you with these types of problems, with this type of smoke. It's still your fault just because you don't know the answer, right? So there are people who think that they are leaders and are not. And we have to be careful of those things. So I think this is not just teaching us what are the qualities of being a leader and what's the impact of a leader, but it's also showing us, in this case, what a false prophet looks like, right? Or a false leader looks like, right?
Right. Good
And
point, Brandon.
and we have to be careful on who we follow, right?
Yeah.
And see if their character is deserving of that title of leadership. So a good leader, like you said, takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less his share of the credit. And I think that keeps a leader, being in a position of power, it keeps a leader humble. Humble in the sense that, or at least grounded, because confidence does not equate to cockiness, right? Confidence does not equate to taking confidence away from someone else. There's some people who have this this consuming confidence where it's like, I'm confident because I make you feel worse. That's not a leader, right? That's a psychopath in some cases, right? And there are different pathologies for people like that. But a leader, like it says in the last paragraph, says leaders have confidence in themselves and create confidence in others. So if you see someone that just has confidence in themselves but has no confidence in anyone else, and doesn't sponsor or encourage or inspire confidence in other people with their work, then that's not a leader, right? They may be self-serving and may be good at what they do, but they're not a leader, right? So there's little impact that can be made. But leaders develop confidence and enthusiasm, not only in themselves, but they inspire it in others. So when you look across time, I mean, let's just use the African American context where you look at like Malcolm X, you look at Dr. King, of course. You look at all these people, the Abernathy's. You look at any of these brothers that have led these huge movements. Huey Newton, uh, they all had this enthusiasm. They all had this confidence, but it was one that sparked a change in other people. It's one that didn't pacify people to the point to where they felt good just listening to the words, but rather they were almost, I won't say incited, but they were inspired and they were driven to action.
Mhm.
Right. So if your leadership doesn't, if what you're giving people doesn't drive them towards some type of action, I hesitate to call that leadership. Because in order to lead, in order to be a leader, you got to be going somewhere, right? And you're not going anywhere if you're not moving. So if you're just, if your words, if your encouragements, if your actions, if your impact um, doesn't sponsor some type of action, doesn't sponsor some type of deed, doesn't sponsor some type of catalytic change, then I could argue, or one could argue, that you're pacifying them. And some people need pacification. There are times when people have to be quelled down a little bit and calmed down and grounded. But I think leaders are movement builders,
Mhm.
right? And so for me, when I look at the lion, he was looking to serve himself and his own ego, but wasn't inspiring in this instance, wasn't inspiring the leadership of others to make the jungle better, or to stop some kind of issue that was going on there. So leaders are ordinary people who accept or are placed under extraordinary circumstances that bring forth their latent potential, producing qualities that inspire the confidence and trust of others. Or, I would like to put that in the other way, or false leaders, when you find, are ordinary people when they're placed under these extraordinary circumstances, they
Mm.
bring forth their latent potential, producing qualities that produce fear, that produce insecurity and distrust in others. And I think that's the difference between a boss and a leader,
And
right?
sickness, Brandon. You know how many people have a lot of your illnesses, I'm telling you guys, can come from working under the stress of
Yeah.
this kind of leadership, because it's our livelihood, right? So we get in this place of feeling stuck, like I gotta go and put up with this, but you're gonna run into an elephant. You will run into an elephant. And I'm not condoning any bad behavior, but you guys, I'm sure you've noticed how the increase in workplace um,
Altercation.
shootings, yes, all kinds of things. Not condoning it, but people get to a point where they feel they're not heard, and they're being taken advantage of, treated badly, and no one is saying anything. And evil prevails, if you remember this, because good people say and do nothing. I remember one of my first fight, I believe, in school was because someone was picking on someone else, and that person would not fight back. And to the point where I got tired of it. Like, pick on me. Come on, please, pick on me. Let's do it.
I was the same way. Remember, Mom? Fighting
Right?
the bullies in
So,
school.
right, we should be the same way on the job and everywhere else. We should not put up with people who are caught up in their position and their title. And as it says here, one day a proud lion was determined to make all the animals in the jungle realize that he was king. So it's not like he went into this new space. They're in the jungle together, right?
Right.
So he was going to make sure, he was determined that they know he was the king. And it went and said he passed the little ones, the little smaller animals, and headed straight for the bear. Now, could that
Mm,
bear have taken him for a run for his money? Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. but he walked up on the wrong big animal. Wrong day, wrong time, wrong me, leader. I'm gonna show you. And then what happens? He still blamed Lion blamed the elephant. That's what a the wrong leader will do. They will go in the office and report you when they've been gaslighting the entire time, and you're the one that's sent home. And everybody sits back and knows that you've been picked on for months, for years. And that day you just was not going. You were going to be the elephant, right? So all things matter, you guys. It's remember the story I told you or shared for those of you who've been listening about the bus driver coming up to um, pick up kids, um, drop them off at school, go back, gets high with his friends, and it shows the picture, and it says, "But not your problem," right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what it becomes your problem when they go to pick up your child, but it should be your problem when they pick up anybody's child. Anybody's child. Give you another example, and we'll get ready to bring it to a close, Brandon. I remember, and I've looked for this story many times, but for some reason I cannot find it. There was a young white boy who was skateboarding in um, a business parking lot, and someone must have called the police on him, or police shows up, and it's a white police officer. And the way that this police officer treated this young man was horrible. His mom got involved, reported it, and so forth. But I that's been Brandon, you were a young boy. I never forgot that. It didn't matter the color of that young boy's skin. What I saw was a boy that would be scarred probably forever. Why? Because he looked at police officers as people who protect us, not just protect my physical, but my mental and my spirit as well. Right. So that didn't make the news a lot because why? It's a white police officer and a white young boy. It's still a young boy who's going to grow up to be a man who was likely scarred forever by that. Right. So we have to take, and I say that because, you know, even in situations where I see a white police officer treating a white person with respect, I choose to say it's not because the person is white, it's because the officer is different. He's a different kind of cat, he's a different police officer. And I choose to believe that that same police officer would hopefully treat the black young man or woman the same. And it does happen, but we don't see it a lot, right? They show us the other stuff to keep us battling each other. So, all that to say, we are all in this pot together. All that to say, just like I mentioned to the team, I'm not here to manage you. It's a process. You're a grown person. I'm here to help you do what you do to the best of your ability so that you can move up, forward, and out if you want to. I'm here to inspire, but you must be inspired first. You must be a leader in your life. A lot of these leaders today are emotionally and physically broken down. And they come to work and they take it out on what they see as little people. I'm the king. I'm going to do it this way today, maybe this way tomorrow, but I can because I'm the king. But, king, what will you do when you run up on an elephant? What will you do? So, over to you, Brandon.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And I think, I mean, you bring up police, and I have an interesting relationship with police officers throughout my life. My coach right now is a police officer. He's one of my favorite people. Um, honestly one of the people I have some of the most respect for. And he's a black officer, but he does so much in the community that, or as far as in the lives of so many young men, um, that he has really gained my respect. But even after all that, I'll tell him all the time, man, look, I'm FTP all day. I don't know if y'all know what FTP means, but that's because that's not as an individual basis, but that's on an institutional basis. Why? Because I know that the institution was started because of a certain thing in order to keep slaves in their place, and so that they wouldn't have access to jobs and they would be criminalized. They could be exploited for their labor again. And with the 13th Amendment, if you are arrested, you can do slave labor for no pay, right? So I realize these things, and I look in the context of what type of people do we have that become police officers? They must be leaders, right? They must be good leaders, right? And I think if we did
Mhm.
more, if we did more, if we had more filters, right, on knowing the qualities of leadership, we would have less problems on the force. If we had more filters on what people could be in positions of leadership, right, character assessments, psychological assessments, making sure that people that coming fresh out off of war, and having been dealing in the jungle, don't come to the cities and think that the citizens are combatants, right? So being a leader has all these qualities. We look at what's going on right now with uh, students and officers in particular shooting rubber bullets at students who are protesting, right? Or literally
Mhm.
keeping camps on tents on campuses. And we see the kind of white nationalist groups coming in and fighting the protesters as the police stand back and say, nope, they're doing our job now. So like when you're in places of leadership, you have to have principle, right? Leadership doesn't change based on the principles of a leader doesn't change based on who he's leading, right?
Right.
The principles have to stay the same. And like you said about that officer that you saw that was doing something good, and it was white man to a white man. Um, your assessment is that he's doing that because he's a good officer, because his principles are the same. I would say if you see that same officer doing the same type of work with the same type of morale and enthusiasm with a black man, with a poor man, with
Mhm.
a Mexican, with an immigrant, with a whatever, then I could say it's because it's him, right? It's because it's him. But I think we should be observant. And before we follow anyone or before we our ascribe these positive qualities to anyone, we should observe. And I think in many cases, what we don't do is observe for enough time before we give our fellowship or our support. So I think many people are getting behind celebrities who they don't know their character. They're following them, saying that I support them, looking their names up on the news. There could be something. There could be a horrible situation going on, or a newsworthy situation going on. Their next door neighbors, but they would know about what's going on between Drake and Kendrick Lamar before they would know that their neighbor is hungry. And I think that's a problem, right? So are you leading yourself? Are you leading your household? Are you leading your neighborhood, your community? What does that look like? What are the levels of leadership? Because I think we're all leaders in some way. It's just what are you leading? What is your dominion? What are you tasked with leading? What's your capacity? And to what capacity you have and what attention and proximity you have to circumstances and situations that need remediating, that's your role. That's your place. That's your position of leadership. So take that today as we close. Figure out where you can be a leader and either lead, follow, or get out of the way on other issues, right? If it's a situation for you to lead it. If it's a situation where it's not your wheelhouse, then follow. And if it's a situation that has nothing to do with you, then make sure that you're not an obstacle for the people who are in positions of leadership and who are following those leaders. Okay.
So, Brandon, I'll be real quick. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned about you brought up the police officer as it relates to seeing a white police officer doing his job the right way with a white person. and that we should observe. We're not always able to, we can't follow that police officer around, right? So
Right. No, sure.
we can't, right. So what I was saying, and I'm not saying that you're saying something different, but for me, I choose to just say, hey, we have someone here that was raised properly. And he sees the janitor as the same as the CEO, and vice versa. He's gonna do his job in the most professional manner because he was raised different, right? What I'm saying, rather than, yes, we should always observe, but we should be careful that we are not judging
Right.
based
But
on what
how do
has
you
been.
know that? If you don't mind me asking, how do you say he was raised right just because you see one positive
No, I'm
interaction?
saying I'm choosing to believe
Oh,
that.
okay. I see what you're
It's
saying.
my choice to not say, oh, he's just doing that because he's white and the boy's white. It's my
Oh, no, no, yeah,
choice.
I see
Yeah,
what you're
it's
saying.
my
I see.
choice to
Okay.
say that this person would hopefully be the same. It's my choice. It protects my heart. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm naive to what
Mm,
goes on out there.
mm,
But you think about the cop who sat out there with you. He was white. He sat out with you there. You remember on the when the coming back from
oh yeah, yeah.
the
From
not right,
Obama's,
right,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
it's
So
really, yeah, it's not a race. It's really not, to me, it's not a race thing. I think it's an institutional thing.
right, right,
But yeah,
right.
yeah, he was
But I
amazing.
just wanted to say, because you brought up the word observe, and because most times we cannot follow that cop around and observe um his next stop with a African American woman or man, right? But we
Right.
know it happens. We know what is important is what we do when it happens, because
Hmm.
see, we'll jump on the bandwagon when it happens, and then we get off the wagon and we wait for it to happen again
Right.
because we are not consistent in our leading to make sure that this does not happen again, because we
Hmm.
get caught up in the movement when it's moving or when it happens. A leader keeps leading
Yeah.
regardless. A leader, I went in on my birthday because I had someone on the team sick. No, you stay home. It's okay. Yes, I did have plans, but that's what I would want my manager or the manager that was managing where I'm going into to
Mm.
do for me. And I did it, Brandon. You know, I did it like, no, it's cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go.
You did it with a positive disposition.
Right.
Something I thought of, a I keep thinking about this line in this
Okay.
story.
The
I know,
lion.
right? So to me, the lion, I want to get this right. The lion was interested in the moment. The
Mm.
leader is interested in the movement,
Oh, that's good, Brandon.
right? Like, I feel like false leaders are really interested in moments. And so when the moment isn't as self-serving, right? If it's, once the chips are down a little bit, the false revolutionaries leave, right? But the true ones stay down for the movement. And I think even us as a people and us as humanity, um, sometimes we get so much caught up into the moment that we forget to create a movement. Like when you see, for example, let's say something happens, right? Like an unarmed African American is shot unduly and extrajudiciously killed by a group of police. Let's say what happened to Tyree Nichols here in Memphis, who I had the pleasure of being with his mother about a week and a half ago. Right, I got to go there and help to like design a skate park on behalf of Tyree Nichols, who was African American, who was beaten to death by 5 black police officers here in Memphis, Tennessee. Um, and and it seems to be over something that was personal, like,
Mm.
he was targeted by the police officers like a gang. They call it the Scorpion Unit here. We're called the Scorpion Unit. They've since been disbanded. But his mother wasn't salty. When I saw his mother, she hugged me. She said, "Hey, how you been? How you doing?" She was dancing. There was music playing, and we were, raising awareness for the skate park. But it if you're looking for moments, you're incited to more fiery things. You're incited to do more short-sighted things that are in the long term, not in the best interest of the people that you're following. Why? Because you're looking for short-term gain.
Mm.
Short-term gain. And when there's short-term gain, the gain is usually not only short-lived, but it's ascribed only to a certain amount of people. So when you're a false leader, like let's take a Donald Trump, for example, right? Like a narcissistic kind of personality, right? Whether you agree with him politically or not or whatever, like that's immaterial. But let's take the personality of a narcissist that who will say, it's the best it ever was when I was there. Right? It's no, you know, even if someone else has did the bulk of the work, they'll say, it's under my administration that this happened. I did this. The I is their favorite word, but for true leaders, they say they delegate, or not even delegate, but they give credit, even more credit to where it's due, because they're encouraging the movement. They know that even when they leave, should they get killed today, God forbid, right? Um, then in certain situations, uh, then then the movement can continue. And if you haven't done leadership in a way to where your movement can continue without you, let's say you get sick tomorrow, Mom, God forbid, right? Let's say you get sick and y'all have work to do, right? Can the organization fill the gaps? Is there an understudy? Is there someone who knows the ropes? Because a true leader, like you spoke about, the man who had his wife and he wanted to set it up to where she didn't have to worry about money, right? That's leadership. He's putting her in a position, and his family, he's thinking and being intentional about the time when he is no longer around. That's a leader. That's someone who's dedicated to the movement and not dedicated to their own self-service, to their own what do you call it, glorification, in a sense, right? So in their own grandiose personality, right? So that I just want you guys to understand, from at least from my opinion, what are the qualities of a leader, and be able to find distinction between that and the false prophets that exist.
Yeah.
So
Brandon,
let's
you brought up the story, so some of the people didn't hear that story, and I think it's very important. So there's this man, real life, that he said he wanted to make sure that when he left this world, if he passed away and moved on, that his wife was so much taken care of financially, to the point where she did not have to have a man unless she wanted one. That she didn't want he didn't want her to have a man because she needed the financial assistance, right? And think about how many egotistic people live saying, well, if my wife or my husband get somebody else, that's on them. I'm not helping taking care of anybody else, right? Egotistic. They're worrying about they're dead and gone and who that person is with, or if that person is with someone. We have those type of leaders, well, those type of people in positions with titles, who are making the life of good people hell every day. And you
right.
have a responsibility. If you see it, if it's on your dime, your time, you have a responsibility to speak up. Because if you don't, one day the elephant might be at your job, and everybody is affected at that time. Period. So lead, follow, or get out of the way. This is applicable to your life, not just your mothers. Lead, follow, or sit down and get yourself together. Fathers, lead, follow, or sit down and get yourself together. Wives, the same. Husbands, the same. Friends, the same. Brothers, lead, follow, or get out of the way and come back with the right attitude and the right leadership characteristics. All right.
Awesome. I want to,
Um,
Mike. I saw your comment, man. When mom put it on the screen while I was talking, I did read it. Thank you so much for saying it, man. I'm proud of you too, and I love you. And for everybody else that joined today, man, I appreciate y'all for coming to this verbal cookout where we're ingesting and digesting affirmations, motivations, encouragements, um, and looking at some of the deeper qualities of our innermost fabric, of our innermost consciousnesses, the way that we see, view, the way that we see and filter the information around us, and how we use that, how
Yeah.
we alchemize that and create success out of that, right?
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
this is our soil. This is us going deep into the soil, right? This is us pulling the nutrients out of the soil, and we are the seed. So let's grow a little every day with these affirmations, with these encouragements, with these motivations. And
Yeah.
today's affirmation and title. First off, today's title was "Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way." Lead, follow, or get out of the way. And um, our quote came from Samuel L. Gravely, the first African American admiral in the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, excuse me, said, "A good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less than his share of the credit." And the affirmation, as you guys always know, we read 3 times: one for us each, one for me, one for you, and one for the person you're going to send this to. I really want you guys to, when we do this part, and I say the person you're going to send this to, think of an individual. Think of someone who needs to hear this affirmation. Today, I will develop the confidence and enthusiasm that breed leadership. Today, I will develop the confidence and the enthusiasm that breed leadership. So that was for us, right? So everybody, get one person in your mind right now who needs to hear this. Who has these qualities of a leader, who would be a great leader. Who needs to be encouraged to continue to lead their family, or to lead their family in a different way. Who needs to hear some inspiration about them being a supervisor, or being a business owner, employer, um, or in an organization. Who needs to hear this right now? It may be you need 2 of them today. Maybe you said it to yourself once and you need to say it to yourself again. But think of someone and say it with me. Today, I will develop the confidence and enthusiasm that breed leadership. Please carry that. Take what you can from that and grow just a little bit today. Thank y'all
So
so much. Go ahead, Mo.
thank you guys. I'd like to put out, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? And who are you doing it for? What, why, and who? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And who are you doing it for? Right? So prepare to be back with us Friday for our 100th episode. We got some great things happening that day. Big Will, Little Will is going to join us for a little
Ooh.
bit on Friday. And remember, if you want to come in with us and share your story of what this has done for you, is doing for you, please, hey, tell your leader that I'm going to be a little late Friday. I'm serious. I'm going to be a little late. I need to be on
Everybody
this
ain't got that
podcast.
got that opportunity though. You know that, right?
Well, I'm not.
Unfortunately,
I'm speaking to those who have it or can go in and ask for it. Because
right?
y'all know what we do when we want to be off, we play sick, right? Sometimes you just say, "Hey, I need to tell the truth. I want to get this. It's helping me, so I'm gonna be a little late. Tell the truth,
Let it be known.
right?
Let it
Yeah,
be known. Yeah.
yeah. So
What's the most that can happen?
right, right. What's the most that can
They say
happen?
no. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't always need to say I have a doctor's appointment. That's not word perfect, right?
Yeah. Don't be
That
lying.
was a
Right?
title. That
Yep.
was a title. That's not word perfect. That's speaking things into your life that you really don't want. So plan to rock with us on Friday, this Friday, May 10th, for the 100th episode. We've been here 100 days. So, all right.
All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Time. Peace.